conversations about things we know are relevant to our friends and the youth at large in South Africa. We're very prideful about our country, so we always want to find a way to uplift the youth in our country. And so we think these are conversations that will not only impact but further uplift and push youth South Africans further into the world.
Okay, are you ready to have some fun?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the worst part is over, so we're going to go to break and then come back and start our show. We're going to have plenty of fun. It's 17 minutes past 1. You were right, I do say the time a lot. It's 17 minutes past 1.
This Youth Month, SAFM celebrates the spirit, power and potential of young South Africans. Join us as we dive into conversations that matter, from innovation to education and skills for the changing world. Empowering youth for meaningful economic participation. Because at SAFM, we're not just talking, we're leading the conversations that move us.
SAFM Music. Good times, good memories.
I'm just like somebody's fire.
Old school sounding so good. SAFM Music with you wherever you go.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
This week on BBC Primetime, watching TV could make you a winner. It's the BBC Primetime Watch and Win competition. Just tune into your BBC Primetime shows, answer a few simple questions on S3's TikTok account, and you could walk away with awesome prizes. From thrilling dramas to jaw-dropping reality shows, the more you watch, the more chances you have to win. Watch, answer, win. Only on BBC Primetime. Airs weeknights 9 to 11 p.m. on S3. Your couch just became the best seat in the game.
Winter in Nelson Mandela Bay is for getting out and not staying in. Get outdoors on a green flag hiking trail or go for a game drive at one of 15 private reserves right at our doorstep. Hit the beach or get on board with a whale watching cruise. Explore the historical heart of our city or come vibe with the locals on a township tour. There's so much to discover. Find Nelson Mandela Bay, South Africa on Facebook or visit nmbt.co.za. Nelson Mandela Bay, your winter and our summer destination.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Welcome back. It's 19 minutes past 1 on the Full Circle. It's the Full Circle takeover today with Mekgomotso KG Mweketsi, Josephine Dlomo, and Yamani Phakati. So we often ask students what they want to be when they grow up, right? And we really do show them how to get them. Let us delve into the connection between education and careers. We often talk about preparing students for the future, but the truth is the future is already here. Today, success doesn't just depend on what you know, but how you apply it, adapt it, and keep learning as the world changes. One key piece of advice that continues to resonate in both education and the workplace is this: treat learning as a lifelong process, not just as a phase. Today, we're joined by Mrs. Lindy Dlamini, the Executive Director at Rodin School, located in Parktown, Johannesburg, to discuss the realities of education in South Africa and how that affects career paths. Miss Dlamini, or Lindy, if you don't mind me calling you, good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'll have you know, my co-hosts are matriculants. Their names are Josephine Dlomo and Yamani Phakati, and when they do ask you a question, they will tell you who it is that you're speaking to. But let's start here. What is it that we're not getting as parents in terms of preparing our children for proper career paths in the world? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, KG, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Yamani and Josephine. It's a delight and a pleasure to be with you, and good afternoon to the listeners as well. I think as parents, one of the things that we get overly invested in are the numbers, are the distinctions, are the outcomes in matric. And it is understandable, after all, because that opens doors of opportunities into further education and so forth. But what we often lose sight of is that our children are individuals, and they have giftings, they have talents, and these giftings and talents will change. So at this stage, they're 18 years old, they have a view what they want to do, they will follow those studies. The biggest thing is to encourage them to do things that they are passionate about, is to liberate them from the shackles of pursuing one thing and seeing a career for life in a particular thing. These days, they've got to be quick change artists, they've got to be resilient, but they've also got to liberate themselves to change careers. I have done that, and I'm a different generation, and that's what I would encourage young people to do.
Hi, Mrs. Dlamini. This is Josephine speaking.
Hello, Fifi.
Hi. I just wanted to respond to that. As important as I know it is for children to be resilient and everything, I also think it's very important that we do get guidance from our parents and that we're able to listen and take advice from the older generation. So I was wondering, as we delve deeper into like the fourth industrial revolution with the presence of AI, what skills do you think young people need to become successful in South Africa and internationally?
There are things that AI can do, simple transactional things, repetitive things, but there are things that only a human being can do. Being personable, being innovative is the domain of human beings. Being empathetic is something that a machine cannot do. And so whatever career you are going to follow, using the skills that humanize you in that interaction or in that space will always be a distinguishing characteristics that you must hold on to. There's much that you learn about character development as you go through high school. As you know, it's not just about learning the technical subjects that you are learning, but a lot of what you're being prepared for are the characteristics of leadership and self-leadership in particular that will distinguish you amongst your peers as you go through life.
Thank you, Mrs. Dlamini. So with that said, and the skills that young people would need, we want to ask you what you did to become successful and get where you are today, because ultimately we're also trying to show a way in which the youth in South Africa can find jobs in almost any industry, and we'd like to get some insight on what you do and how this might interest the youth in South Africa.
I think the main thing that I can say was a distinguishing attribute in my career. I was never afraid to try anything new. I was never afraid to learn something new. I was never afraid to challenge my background and get into new spaces that I didn't have experience in, but that I was passionate about and that I immersed myself in. So for each part of my career journey, I really threw myself into the different things that I have done with passion, with enthusiasm. And when the next opportunity came, I didn't allow fear to hold me back. I also didn't allow myself to be held back by the fact that what I was tried and tested in was perhaps a particular discipline. I mean, to give you a sense, I started my career as a legal advisor. It didn't stop me when the time came from running financial services businesses within large groups such as Liberty, Alexander Forbes, PPS, and the Sanlam Group. And so throughout my career journey, I was just not afraid to step out and try something new. My main ideation was to be a lifelong student of life. And to always be learning. And this is how I found myself at Rodin, leading such a wonderful school and having wonderful students like you under my gaze.
Okay, Josephine again. That being said, that's very admirable to hear, and I'm sure very inspiring for a lot of people. What advice or warnings would you give your younger self? Because I'm sure you've learned a lot throughout your journey and like throughout the process, throughout your career. What advice would you give your younger self regarding today's working world, work relationships, like networking, to have like maybe done things quicker or more efficiently?
Well, Josephine, I don't think that there's anything I would have liked to do quicker. So when I started grade 1, I was 4 years old, turning 5 in that year. I matriculated at 15. I do wish I'd taken things a bit more slowly instead of racing through life as I did. But what I would say to my younger self, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, and to never be paralyzed by fear, to not be afraid of failing. Failing is just part of the learning process that catalyzes your journey into something else. I feared failure a lot when I was young. I always wanted to win. I always wanted to succeed. And so while that is positive, I think fearing failure is fearing learning from the experiences that life has to offer. And I think it is important to not be fearful of negative experiences. They are part of what makes you you. And I wouldn't trade any of the more negative aspects of my learning experience for anything.
Very inspiring. It's KG back again. To what extent, Lindy, would you say that we must believe our children when they show us who they are? Because, they're saying today that it's imperative for us to watch our children when they show their particular interests as they evolve, because that's the only way we can make sure that when they go into careers, they go into careers that also fulfill them mentally and intellectually. So to what extent would you advise parents to watch and believe their children as they evolve and show them who they are?
And it's such a delicate balance, KG, because it is something between what Fifi said earlier on, that they do need guidance, they do need support. But these days, the young ladies of today, they know who they are, they know their minds. And when we listen carefully and we give them the space to express their desires, I think that that's where we start to put our children on a trajectory for success. In my job, I find myself often advocating for students to their parents. Parents early on start to form a view of what the potential of a Yamani or a Josephine are based on subjects they do well in and so forth. But I mean, as the young rose comes into full bloom, they develop their own ideas about how they want to spend their lives. And you can hear from their social justice orientation that some of the things that move them are things that have to do with meaning and purpose and contribution. And those don't always stack up tidily to some of the thinking patterns that we as adults have about successful careers. It is competitive out there. And so very often as parents, we look to careers that we believe will be in high demand. And when we think that the mental and academic aptitude of a child is sufficient to get them into a career, we sometimes push them. I think that we should listen more. We should explore more, look into the whites of our children's eyes and really understand how they see the world and the place that they want to create for themselves in the world, and then guide them based on that understanding rather than preconceived notions.
Fantastic. A quick 30-second advice to both Yawani and Josephine, who are in Metric, from somebody like you, who's the executive director at Rodin School. What advice would you give them?
Well, KG, they've already done it. So when I got the message that Yamani and Josephine would like me to be on their show today, and congratulations on your radio debut, young ladies.
Yeah.
It was 9:30. I was driving from work. There was every chance I wouldn't be able to make it. I did my best to make it. I had hoped to be in studio. They've already demonstrated remarkable tenacity and going for what they want and not stopping until they got it. I have got a meeting with the IEV shortly, but here I am because it was important to them. So it is always for them to advocate for their goals, their dreams, their desire, and to be tenacious, and they will get it. Here I am with them. I've had an amazing time, KG.
Thank you, Mrs. Lamini. It is 1:31 and it is time for the news.
On the news headlines on SAFM, I am Ondilambana, and a very good day. Floyd Shivambu has announced that he's kicking off the consultation process on whether he should start a political party. Minister of Electricity and Energy Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa says government is ready to implement the South African Renewable Energy Master Plan as part of its energy policy on electricity development. And Iranian missiles have inflicted significant damage on Israel, breaking through its air defenses on the 7th day of conflict. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Every murder has a moment when it could have been stopped. Countdown to Murder takes you inside the chilling timeline from ordinary days to unthinkable crimes. Real stories, real people, and the final hours before everything fell apart. Countdown to Murder. Every second tells a story. Thursdays at 9 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
For over 40 years, we've stood with the artists, championing the arts in all their forms. Now we unveil the next chapter, the Standard Bank Art Lab, a new gallery space where bold ideas take center stage. Opening with a celebration of tapestry, because like these woven masterpieces, the arts are woven into who we are. Step inside, let the art move you, grow you. Standard Bank, proud Lead B20 sponsor, authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
There are routines we all love. Morning and night skincare routines, exercise routines, even new routines like meal prep, journaling, and chemo. That last one hit differently, didn't it? The truth is, over 99% of cervical cancer cases are linked to the human papillomavirus. So if you're a woman between 15 and 44, act now. Ask your healthcare provider about the HPV vaccine. This message was brought to you by MSD.
The Rockets want to take full control of 90 minutes. Meanwhile, First Touch ladies want to transition quick with First Touch football. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Do not miss out on glittering action between TS Galaxy Queens and First Touch ladies on Saturday 21 June at 3 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM music, crafted to make you feel real good. Handpicked just for your pleasure. Classics sounding so good, only on SAFM.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
So welcome back to the Full Circle. It's 1:34. So we're shifting gear now, and we're going here. As success in today's world isn't just about having a great idea. It's about turning that idea into a brand, a business, and a legacy. And as an entrepreneur, you have to build a brand from the ground up and navigate challenges and turn your passion into a business. What makes today's guest, Memuna Williams, especially inspiring in the context of today's conversation is her insights into the field of entrepreneurship, her mindset, and how her self-belief can play, how self-belief in general can play a role in paving a unique path for a career. She has transformed a passion for sports into a powerful career, and now helps others understand how to navigate the game both on and off the field. Whether it's about building a brand as an athlete or breaking into the business of sports or turning competition into capital, Memuna Williams brings a perspective that is as practical as it is inspiring. So let's welcome to our guest, Memuna Williams. Memuna, she, by the way, is the co-founder of Champs for Change. I should warn you, Memuna, that I have two co-hosts, but you probably know already. Their names are Josephine Lomo and Yawani Pagati, and there will be three of us that are interviewing you, and they will tell you who you're speaking to when it's them that you're speaking to. For now, it's me, KG. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us. Give me the background of the work you do at Champs for Change.
Yeah, hi, KG, Josephine and Yamani, and thank you so much for having me. So I hope that you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so I'm really lucky to be married to Victor Williams. He's a lifelong banker, but a few years ago, he switched into sports and became the CEO of NBA Africa. And through that, I got exposed to many of his wonderful colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically the BAL for Her program at the BAL.
Mm-hmm.
And so I co-mentored there with WNBA superstar Clarice Machanguana. And we left there feeling like the young ladies really wanted more in terms of mentoring. And so we set out about 2 years ago to develop for them programs that would deliver more holistic mentoring and training to them over the long run. So that's how we started with Champs for Change.
Okay, this is Josephine here. So it sounds like there's a lot of networking involved in what you do, and that's how you became successful. So as an entrepreneur, because we are focusing our conversation today around like entrepreneurship and opportunities for the youth, could you tell us the importance of networking in entrepreneurship, starting a business, and how you did so for your own benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. The networking is really, really important. Today, I'm talking to you because of a venture that I started in sports, but in some ways you can say that I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Mm.
Yeah, so I started out in the first part of my career as a linguist, and I started a translation practice. And during that period, we became an award-winning firm. And one of the reasons that we did become that was because I was networking, especially with a group of women business owners. And so what happens when you network with these kind of people is that you find almost your tribe, people who believe in you, sometimes before you believe in yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, and are just there to support you and encourage you. You might have a doubt and they say, no, this is actually something that you can do. Go and try it. And not only do they support you or encourage you to do that, but they give you their full support in doing that such that you become successful and you can start to believe in yourself. So networking, whether it's in this sports venture, as I explained with how I got exposed through my husband, or how I did it early in my career, is really critically important.
Thank you, Ms. Maimuna. Like you said, networking is a very important factor in being successful in such a field. As sports is becoming more popular and successful, not only in South Africa, but Africa as the whole continent. And you mentioned the BAL and BAL for Her and NBA Africa. How would you suggest young people can branch out from not just local networks in South Africa, but to international networks and connections to make themselves not only more successful, but more known at an international level rather than just in South Africa?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that we live in a really interesting time today. Young people are really lucky because nobody is confined to the particular country that they're from. With everything that we have going on with technology and social media, if you're diligent about knowing who you are, crafting your message, disciplined about getting it out there, you can definitely get yourself known. But I think that there's also the balance between what can be done online and what can be done in real world networks. So we're talking about networking and me as an entrepreneur. And right now I'm joining you for a conference in real life meeting people, making connections, and people are, latching onto me and saying, oh, I see that you do this. Can you come and help us do this at our institution? And so what's that balance between the tools and the opportunities that you have with technology and social media, and also going out in person, locally where you are, and if you have the opportunity, going out to other places around the world where you can make those special connections.
Thank you so much. So you did mention something about BAL for Her. I want to ask a question that's particularly relevant to females and young women in sports. So how would you say, or how do you think us as young women and people in general could bring more attention to female sports? Because I feel like they don't get as much recognition. And how do you think that we could perpetuate the idea that women and male sports are equal?
Brilliant question.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting one. Yeah, right. And I think, look, it's a little bit controversial, but I think that we're living in a really interesting time where we have some women who have already started to go to the forefront and ask for what women are due, especially in the sports world. We saw that in the Women's World Cup of Soccer with the US team a couple of years ago, when, that team's captain demanded equal pay for the women's football team. And I think that they actually eventually got that. And you've seen other examples of that in places even like boxing. And of course, now around the NBA finals in the US, you have the personalities of people like Caitlin Clark and her teammates who are doing amazing things in terms of attracting attention to WNBA basketball. But you also have other phenomena that are happening where somebody like Whoopi Goldberg has started a TV station that's fully dedicated to women's sports coverage all over the world. If it's women's sports, they're covering it. So there's a lot that's happening now that's interesting. And I think that young women see more role models. And when they see themselves, they have the belief that they can do it. And so I think we're going to see more and more that's going to be building on this kind of momentum that I'm talking about.
Thank you. So obviously sports teams only have so many players, and those sports teams employ people to work for them. But in the context of creating businesses in sports, how would you advise the youth to expand their love for sports into a career outside of just playing that sport?
Yeah, so many ways. Again, especially today with all of the opportunities that there are, they can put it into marketing, media. These are some of the most common places. Athletes now increasingly look after their bodies in different ways. So there's a whole range of health-related areas around which people can engage with sports. Sports is one of those things. It's entertainment, it's event. So there's a lot of opportunities around event planning around sports. So there's no shortage of areas. And in Africa and in South Africa, this is a growing environment. It's in terms of youth, in terms of urbanization, in terms of the potential for sport. So there are many available opportunities. And I think that if people think about what their different passions are, apart from the particular sport, they can find their own place in terms of where the intersection is, where they can contribute and enter their careers in that way.
Memuna, it's KG again. I wanted to find out where you think Africa is lagging behind in terms of intersecting properly between business opportunity and sports. What kinds of things should or could we be doing differently to advance? Because we continuously hear of sporting heroes, particularly in Africa and here in South Africa, to be specific, sporting heroes dying as paupers or not having enough money towards the end of their lives. And some would say, they didn't seize opportunities, business opportunities that may have existed to them when they were at the height of their careers. So where is Africa lagging behind in terms of that intersection between business and sports?
Yeah. No, it's a really good question because, this is, a phenomenon that is happening across the continent and that is recognized. And I think that there is a part of not seizing opportunities, but that's also about not having the knowledge about what to do and where to go. And when you know better, you then do better. And I think, again, in this generation, we're at an interesting point in time because we know a little bit more about the fact that these things happen, that an athlete might go and even win an Olympic gold medal and then come back into their communities and, there are no opportunities for them because either they or their coaches or the community that is hailing them as heroes hasn't thought about where they can go next. So there's a whole lot of opportunity. There is some hard work that needs to be done by the athlete, by their team, by their family. There are biases that they have to fight, especially we're a group of women here talking about sports. I think many of us are women of color. And so often women of color have a different battle that they have to fight around not being the right look or feel or, whatever it is that some society might be telling us in different parts of the world. And so we have to find our way as athletes to try to fight through and break through these barriers in order to get the business opportunities that might be available out there, whether that's sponsorships or entrepreneurial opportunities, using that entrepreneurial mindset, coming back to where we started this conversation out, to tap into that intersection of your platform that you've built with your sports and what you love to do and developing out the things that you want to do in the future.
Thank you. Josephine again. So I wanted to ask, to what extent do you think it's important to support young athletes? I know school isn't necessarily for everyone. Some people may be more passionate about sports and may have a lot of skill in it, but I know it is a very hard industry to get into. It's very hard to go professional because there is a lot of passion around sports. So to what extent do you think it's important for parents to support the decisions of their kids to focus on sports?
Yeah, I think it's very important. And I think that one of the reasons that I'm here is because I've done this collection of stories working with We Will Lead Africa and my venture Champs for Change. It's 40 stories about people who are in careers in sports already. And one of the threads and trends that I see in it is that it was seen as academics and sports being mutually exclusive. But what you find out is that there's some situations like Anibal Manave, who's the head of FIBA, whose coach and family came up with a solution that allowed him to focus on sports, but also focus on his academics. And so what you find is that rather than academics and sports being mutually exclusive, it's a question of both and how can the student, maybe their coach, and the family and the parent who still might not be convinced about the sports, find an accommodation that will allow both things to go together at the same time. Because what you find is that having both the training that you get and the discipline that you get through sports and doing well in academics, that fully opens up the opportunities in terms of getting access to scholarships, going to good schools, being able to continue the athletic career, entering good jobs, maybe after a life as a school student athlete or going on to play professionally, and then eventually coming into management in sport. So I think parents, especially today, should go beyond what was happening in the previous generation, where these kinds of careers in sports and creative industries were frowned upon, and recognize that the sports is actually additive, and that there is a life and career in sports afterwards, and embrace that and support the young people as they think about these things and make these choices.
Thank you, Maimouna. It's Yamani again. So for almost the last piece of advice that you could give, you explained the type of stories that are found in your venture or book. What are the impacts that you hope your book will have on the youth, not only in South Africa, but Africa at large, and the ways you almost you hope it inspires the readers and sports community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a minimum threshold is that inspiration. But if I tie it back to the question that Josephine just asked about support, my big hope with this book is that it will give parents and students a blueprint, coaches, for how to leapfrog forward beyond the tensions that existed in a previous generation, for young people to be able to get into careers in sports, and so they can say, right, okay, this is what happened, a few years ago, and the lessons that we learned from this, we're going to apply and do things differently so that our young people can come into these careers, do so with our support, and do so much more easily. So that's one of my big hopes for this.
So it's KG back again. So to the parents that are listening, Maimouna, when their children come to them and say, look, academics are great and I will do my best to get the basics that I do need to go to get, but sports is where I'm going to go. How would you encourage them, to encourage their children to chase that dream and know that it can be attained, as opposed to saying, no, focus on something else?
Yeah. So this is not academic for me. I'm a mother of 3 boys who all 3 love sports.
Mm-hmm.
And one we're very proud of is working as an intern for a basketball team in the US right now. And so we didn't discourage him from pursuing his passion in sports. I think what we've done as parents, Victor and I, is to say, if this is your choice, do your best in it. Show us that you're doing everything that you can and performing at your best, and we'll support you as long as that is what we can see. And I think that that's all any of us can do as parents, is to support the, wishes and dreams of our young people, while kind of also sharing our values, that it's the hard work and, giving it your best that is the things that are going to differentiate you and make a difference in order for you to be able to pursue this career. In this case, we're talking about sports at the very highest level.
Thank you so much. So just to follow up on our question about your book, where is the book available? Could you tell us where people can get it if they are interested, as well as where we could find you on social media, maybe any platforms that it would be interesting to check out to just learn a little bit more information about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for asking that. The book is available as a hardcover copy on Amazon, and also on Amazon as a Kindle copy. And I can be found on LinkedIn at Dr. Memuna Williams. I think I'm the only one that will come up if you put that in. And of course, you can find out more information about Champs for Change at champsforchange.org.
Thank you so much.
And that's a number 4 with the 4 Champs for Change.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Memuna Williams. It is 13:55.
In a land scorched by the sun and shaped by time, life refuses to surrender. From the silent stalk of the Arabian leopard to the resilient march of the sand gazelle, witness nature's fiercest survivors. Arabian Inferno, a journey into one of Earth's most extreme habitats where every day is a battle for survival. This is the wild. This is Arabian Inferno. Sundays at 6 p.m. on S3. Open up.
Hey, Paul, what's the rush?
I'm off to SARS. I want to check if I'll be auto-assessed.
No need. If you're auto-assessed, SARS will send you a notice between 7 and 20 July.
So I just wait for the notice?
Exactly. If you get the notice, check it. And if you agree, you're done. Disagree, file using e-filing or the SARS Mobi app. If you don't get the notice, file from 21 July. Make tax matters your priority. Go to sars.gov.za and say goodbye to queues. SARS, at your service.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Tension and drama will go above the rooftop as the believers want to play in the Big Boys League, while the citizens say they are used to life in Mzansi's elite league. This is the PSL promotional playoffs. Catch Cashwick Stars versus Cape Town City this Saturday, 21 June at 2:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Also available at 3 p.m. on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Yeah. Don't try to move me from my lover, yeah. Suited for each other, suited for each other. Tailor-made, I'm glued up on my lover. I'll never lose him to another, yeah. When we talked on the phone and you said that you love me, did you say that that's for sure, yeah? I wanna scream from the top of the rooftop, tell you that my love for you, I keep on rewind. I struggle to find new words to define. What a love, yeah. What a love, what a love, yeah. What a love, what a love, what a love, yeah. What a love, what a love, yeah. What a love, what a love, what a love. What a love, what a love. Baby, we both know it's just something we both know. Suited for each other, suited for each other. Don't try to move me from my lover, yeah. Suited for each other, suited for each other. Tailor-made, I'm glued up on my lover. I'll never lose him to another, yeah. Never, never know, yeah. Never, never lose him to another, yeah. Never, never know, yeah. Never know, yeah. See, I just really miss you, yeah. And I'm forever in shoes.
It's 2 p.m. and that was Suited by Shekinah. We're going to news now.
Top stories at 2. Shivambu speaks on his removal as MK party secretary, and Iranian missiles hit parts of Israel. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. Former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shivambu has clarified reasons for his removal from the position. He says it was informed by a fake intelligence report which said he was intending to overthrow former President Jacob Zuma as party leader. Shivambu addressed the media in Midrand, north of Johannesburg.
The reason given in the national officials for my deployment or removal as Secretary General was that I want to overthrow President Zuma as the president of Mkondo Isizwe. Extremely bizarre and fake intelligence report was produced, which was claimed to be a conversation between me and some people in the African continent, where it is alleged that despite raising money to remove President Zuma, I'm also accumulating supernatural powers to make people disappear.
Shivambu also announced that he is kicking off a consultation process on whether he should start a political party.
So to the comrades that came to say let us form a political party, we said that we can't take that decision. Let us subject that process to the people of South Africa. So we're here today to announce that we're going to be convening the process of consulting the people of South Africa on the formation of a political movement that will be a true representative of the people of South Africa, and not a personal project, and not a group of friends project, not a cult, and not a fiefdom. So over the next few months, we will be consulting.
Minister of Electricity and Energy Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa says government is ready to implement the South African Renewable Energy Master Plan as part of its energy policy and electricity development. The aim of the plan is to fast-track the procurement of renewable energy, ensure reliable energy planning, and expand the electricity grid to accommodate new projects, among other issues. Ramokgopa was speaking on the third day of the Africa Energy Forum in Cape Town.
Through SAREN, we are embedding industrialization into our energy transition, not as an afterthought, but as a central strategy to secure sovereignty, create jobs, and build long-term competitiveness. A core pillar of energy security is the ability to build, operate, and maintain critical energy infrastructure with domestic capacity. No nation can claim sovereignty whilst outsourcing the very foundations of its development.
The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has been adjourned until tomorrow in the High Court in Pretoria. This state witness, Sergeant Moses Mabasa, is currently testifying in another matter. Mabasa is expected to return to the witness stand today following a pause in cross-examination by defense lawyer Charles Mnisi. The cross-examination was previously halted to allow accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube, to undergo a dental examination. The dental report is now available but will only be handed in as an exhibit once Sergeant Mabasa resumes his testimony. Palma Kubane reports.
Accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube, underwent a dental examination in an effort to counter the state's claim that he had a gold tooth in 2014, the year footballer Senzo Meyiwa was killed. Some eyewitnesses had testified that one of the intruders who entered the Khumalo home had a gold tooth. In support of this claim, the state called Sergeant Moses Mabasa, who testified about selfies recovered from Mncube's memory card, allegedly showing him with dreadlocks and a gold tooth. Mncube, however, has denied ever having a gold tooth and requested to be examined by a private medical practitioner.
Iranian missiles have inflicted significant damage in Israel, breaking through its air defenses on the 7th day of conflict. Dozens of people were injured as Iran struck several locations. The BBC's Dan Johnson has the details.
The latest wave of missiles fired by Iran prompted air raid alerts and air defense interceptions across Israel around 7 a.m. local time this morning. But some missiles did get through. Buildings have been damaged in Tel Aviv, and further south in Beersheba, around 50 people were injured when the Soroka hospital was hit, damaging wards which had been mostly evacuated. Israel's defense minister accused Iran of war crimes and ordered an intensification of attacks in retaliation, targeting, he said, Iran's power network. Israel Katz said Iran's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei would be held accountable, and Israel's military would continue strikes to eliminate the threat to its citizens.
Recapping the top story, former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shivambu has clarified reasons for his removal from the position. He says it was informed by a fake intelligence report which said he was intending to overthrow former President Jacob Zuma as a party leader. I'm Ondilambana for SFM News Headlines at 2:30.
Specsavers Audiology, South Africa's largest audiology group, brings you the all-new Clarity Pro rechargeable hearing aids. Experience cutting-edge features at a price you can afford. For a limited time only, buy one Clarity Pro rechargeable hearing aid and get 50% off the second. You heard right. Buy one and get 50% off the second. Visit specsavers.co.za to find your nearest store and ask for Clarity Pro today. Specsavers Audiology. Test your hearing and join the conversation. T's and C's apply.
Planet Earth, third planet from the sun. A cool place within the solar system where you can pause and take a deep breath without your lungs exploding. Home to an amazing array of wildlife and amazing landscapes that will leave you breathless either through wonder or fear. For humans, it's a place they call home, the only one that they have now. Team Surai follows a dedicated group of individuals dedicated to protecting the planet. Their mission: to encourage viewers to take concrete steps to protect the Earth. Catch Team Surai Thursdays at 6 p.m. S3, open up.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
It's that time of year. The annual Drakensberg Boys Choir Music in the City is upon us. Classic choral works, African rhythms, and foot-stumping Afropop at the Joburg Theatre. 18 to 21 June. Book now on bbchoir.com. See you there.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
The way we move, skin on the skin. No separation, need no conversation, nah, nah, nah. On everything, it's automatic, going 0 to 100, nah, nah. Right, wishing the wheels will fall off. Time is ticking, it's taking you too long. Right before I decide to go. I like you hurt me. Only serve it up if you deserve me, yeah. Pull up and hurt me. Push us down. I like you hurt me. Only serve it up if you deserve me, yeah. Pull up and hurt me. Push us down. Pushing on my buttons with no hesitation. Gas me up, give me motivation. So tell me where we going, pick a destination.
Welcome to the future of press wires. EIN Press Wire. Everyone.
It's 11 minutes past 2. That song is from Tyler. It's called Push to Start. As I did say at the beginning of the show, that the songs today are chosen by my co-hosts who are Josephine Dlomo and Yamani Pagade. Yamani Pagade is the one who chose Tyler's Push to Start. So in this hour, we're going to have a conversation around youth unemployment. Remember, our co-hosts are the ones who chose the topics that we're talking about today, and we're going to have a discussion with Zinhle Khazia, who is a manager of colleague engagement at Absa Bank, and we're going to have a discussion around youth unemployment, and later on we'll talk pop culture and the music industry and how we can use the arts for positive impact. So we'll go to a quick commercial break and then come back with Zinhle Khazia as we talk youth unemployment in South Africa.
Tension and drama will go above the rooftop as the believers want to play in the Big Boys League, while the citizens say they are used to life in Mzansi's elite league. This is the PSL promotional playoffs. Catch Cashrick Stars versus Cape Town City this Saturday, 21 June at 2:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Also available at 3 p.m. on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
This week on Off-Pitch Goals. After league and cup triumphs for Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns, George Maluleka, Lethono Majoro, and George Lebesi embark on a journey to conquer the glamorous world of cosmetics. Join us as we find out how they maneuver through this highly competitive industry. Streaming on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 on Saturday, 21 June at 8:30 p.m. Off-Pitch Goals, where we showcase how the stars score in business. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Night Talk with Oliver Dixon.
When leaders need to account, we call on them. When society needs to debate, reflect, and advance, we're here to have the conversation. Join me, Oliver Dixon, on Night Talk every Monday to Thursday from 10 to 12 midnight.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Welcome back. It's 14 minutes past 2. So in today's complex world, true leadership is measured not just by business success, but by the impact we make in the moments that matter the most. We're welcoming a powerhouse in business development and social impact. Zinhle Khazia is a woman whose career bridges strategy, service, and resilience. She also, by the way, has a strong background in entrepreneurship, but she has played a key role in shaping initiatives at Absa through her leadership in managing disaster relief frameworks and response efforts. Her work stands as a reminder that leadership is about people, responsibility, and action. Zinhle Khazia is our guest in the studio. And Zinhle, hi, thank you for coming through. Give me a background on how you even made it to where you have made it to at Absa. And I love that you think that, you know, at the ultimate end, leadership is about people, responsibility, and action. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, KG, Yamani, and Josephine. Thank you so much for the opportunity, first and foremost, to be here today. It's an important month for us. It's Youth Month, and my journey, I would say, hasn't been linear. And I think it's quite important to land that. I started off after varsity as an entrepreneur. And the reason for that is, you know, I graduated in political science and I wasn't able to find a job. And as a result of that, I said, you know, I need to be resourceful.
Yeah.
And so I started this journey in entrepreneurship, and I was running
a social enterprise which did support young people, focusing largely within the green economy space. But I didn't imagine that I would end up in a big corporate in South Africa, one of the biggest banks in the country. And that was as a result of leaders who came before me, who saw something in me and believed in me. And what I'd like to contribute is that I think as young people, when you get given opportunities, you need to take those opportunities and run with them.
Yeah.
I am surrounded by leaders and mentors who have charted the path for me and shown me some of the, nuggets on how to navigate the corporate space. What was important as well, navigating and coming from being an entrepreneur, working for a very big nonprofit organization as well that was leading around youth unemployment in the country. When I, started my role at ABSA, one of the leaders within the, the organization saw something in me.
Yeah.
And they scouted me to come work in the bank. And, as I was reflecting about coming onto this, interview today and the opportunity that has been presented in front of me, was that when that opportunity came, I thought, am I ready for this?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of young people sometimes do doubt whether they're ready or not. But because of the people that have believed in me, I think that my journey has been one that has not been linear, but filled with a lot of opportunities and positive outcomes. At ABSA, my role has enabled me to work strategically with different areas within the bank, and being able to see that measurable impact, I think, is quite important.
So as you know, Yamani and I wanted to structure today's conversation around youth unemployment. So my question to you is, you did mention that early on after varsity, even though you were educated, you still were unable to find a job. So with that being said, could you tell us some realistic ways we could make more jobs accessible to the youth, whether that be through entrepreneurship or other means? How do you think we could either create more jobs or give people access to more jobs after studying, after getting educated?
Thank you so much for that question, Josephine. When you look at the dynamics in the country, we can see that, when the recent stats that came out in Q1 this year, 62.4% of young people between the ages of 15 to 24 are unemployed. And I don't think that is a stat that is light. It's very loaded. And so in the work that we do at ABSA, our strategy from a corporate citizenship perspective is financial inclusion through entrepreneurship. And we had to take the bold step to say that, we can see the socioeconomic challenges that we're facing as a country. The stats also show that 1.9 million young people are discouraged work seekers between the ages of 15 to 34, meaning that they've actually even given up.
Yeah.
And
they've stopped looking.
Correct. And so we had to take this bold stance as a bank and as an organization, which is group-wide, to say we believe that entrepreneurship is a pathway for young people. And we do this in various ways. And I think to your question, I believe that it has to start with an entrepreneurial mindset. And an entrepreneurial mindset means that as a young person, you need to be a problem solver, you need to be agile, you need to be resilient. And these are the behavioral nuggets that we introduce in our programs with some of the partners that we work with. So I think an entrepreneurial mindset is quite important. But I think beyond that, it's then to say, how do you transition these young people at a high school level, right? From having developed entrepreneurial mindsets, but how do they then go into intent, being entrepreneurially intentional, and then transitioning them into entrepreneurial action? And I think, looking at the job market right now, employers are unable to employ. And I think young people need to develop an entrepreneurial mindset so that by the time you transition out of, whether it's basic education or higher learning, you've at least developed a knack for entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship does not necessarily have to be you being an entrepreneur in the sense of owning a business, but you can be entrepreneurial in a corporate environment, in a non-governmental environment. So my advice to young people would be that it starts early. Building that entrepreneurial mindset starts early. Some of the programs that we're running, we work with young people as early as in grade 10 and grade 11 in township schools, where we're saying that, you ought to build this mindset so that you can prepare yourself for the future. If you look at the future world of work, things have changed. We're now speaking AI, and AI is not a new thing, but the way that it has propelled means that I think young people need to develop themselves in such a way that they can be relevant for the future world of work. And what that requires is, yes, the hard skills are important, but the soft skills are very important as well. As I've mentioned, my journey has not been linear, and I think young people need to be able to have a teachable spirit. I do think, though, that entrepreneurship is the pathway. Some of the work that we're doing as well is working with the Department of Basic Education to influence policy where entrepreneurship is introduced at a high school level. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Zinhle. It's Yamani speaking. So you mentioned the statistic of youth aged 15 to 24 battling the most with unemployment. And you also mentioned the ability for entrepreneurship to also be within the corporate world. For children who don't have almost ideas for new businesses or ideas in a way to be a new entrepreneur, how do you see a way for children to almost make their way in the corporate world? And what are almost the most underrated skills that you think someone would need to try grow a business but also grow their space in the corporate world?
Yeah, Yamani, very good question. I think in terms of, I think the stats are quite glaring. And I would say that, I'll use an example because I think sometimes telling stories is important. I'll use an example of one of the programs that we run with young people in high school. And it's with an organization called Junior Achievement South Africa. These are young people that go through a 12-month program. It's the Company Plus program. And it's almost like a mini MBA where we teach them the relevant skills to be able to actually run a business and an organization. One, I guess, example I can give you is that I think you have to start where you are. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate things. I think entrepreneurship is about identifying a problem, identifying pain points that your consumers could be potentially facing, and developing solutions for that. And so some of the successes that we've seen with some of our programs as well with young people that are in higher learning or young people that are not in employment, education or training with an organization called the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute is that these are young people that are working on solutions that, number one, have an impact on the environment, so there's sustainability. They work across various sectors, whether it's technology, agriculture, etc. And one of the young entrepreneurs on the YEA program started an enterprise called KYA, and he realized that with a lot of the mining towns, these mines were left unattended to. And he turned that into a solution where he's repurposed those mining towns, right? He found a pain point and he, came up with a solution for it. So I think I would say that start from where you are, you realize where the pain points and the gaps are, and come up with innovative solutions. But I think most importantly as well, if we look at where the world is, you speak about skills. Digital skills are very important. So how do you build businesses that are scalable? Because that's how you build unicorns, right? And I'm quite passionate about young people on the continent. 60% of the African demographic constitutes of young people, youth between the ages of 15 and 24, yourselves. And I think it's important to be mindful of what's happening globally. You can't be so narrow-minded because we've seen where the world is. It's quite digital. So you have to be able to build solutions that can transcend your own borders. And I think that's quite important. And I think just to close off in terms of skills that would be required, as I've mentioned, yes, employers hire for hard skills, but they fire for soft skills or the lack of not having the relevant soft skills. I think you have to build a behavioral mindset that is one where you say you are entrepreneurially minded within a corporate structure, in terms of even from a banking perspective, and I mean, I can't really speak for the entire organization, but I can speak from a corporate citizenship perspective, is that employers look for people that are problem solvers, people that can work in organizations, see problems, but not see them as problems, and being able to find solutions for those problems. And I think that answers your question.
Yes. So you mentioned the importance of being tech savvy and the idea that AI is not a new thing. So with that being said, with the presence of AI, I guess, being more prominent in schools, but also just in general in the workforce, how do you think, I'm sure people from more privileged backgrounds have more access to AI and technology. So how do you think we can support those from underprivileged areas who may not have those same opportunities to like close the gap as they also enter this world with more AI presence?
Yeah, that's a very good question, but I must add a disclaimer that I'm a development practitioner. So I'll stick to those parameters. But of course, because I'm quite curious, I do look into things like AI because that's where the world is going. So I can maybe give you a nuanced example where with some of our programs that we're running, young people, as I've mentioned, go on a journey with us for at least 12 months. And in some of the themes that are developed into those programs for young people that are, in different schools across the country, rural schools, township schools, do get introduced to topics such as AI. For example, the theme for one of the programs this year is ACT, which is Action and Climate Change. And it is embedded in also being able to understand some of those AI innovations that are important. But as I would say that, from a developmental perspective, the approach that we take from a corporate citizenship lens is that we go into communities and we target young people that necessarily might not maybe be given the necessary platforms or voices that are required, and we support them. But I think what is important is that as we develop these programs, which are, as I have mentioned, are based on entrepreneurship education, it's really around ensuring that we walk the journey with the young people, right? Because we are trying to build entrepreneurially thriving young people. And so, innovations such as AI do form part of some of the deliverables in terms of how our program partners deliver. But as mentioned, I think what is important and what you can take out of the conversation is that we work with credible partners that go into communities. I mean, one of the programs that we are doing with the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute is an entrepreneurship tour that goes into rural communities across the country. And for us, as corporate citizenship, we're quite clear on our mandate and quite clear on our strategy, and that is we want to empower the next generation of young African leaders. And that means that we have to be quite intentional about the things that we do and really try to be a force for good in the communities in which we operate in.
Okay, bridging on the AI impacts and just youth in general, in terms of younger people in South Africa wanting to almost break that cycle of the importance of science and general education, do you think it is important to support unconventional jobs like the arts, where we see more youth taking interest in different industries rather than just normal education?
Yeah, another very good question, Yamani.
And we have a very short amount of time for you to answer.
Yeah, I think, STEAM is quite important, which involves science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And I think, to answer your question, the creative economy, I think, is quite important. If we look at the African population, I think there's lots of work to do within the creative economy, and I think there are pathways for young people to transition into the creative economy. And so, even in some of the interventions and programs that we run, I I mean, with the ABSA Fellowship Program, for example, that's based on, young people that are within the STEAM, environment. So we do take that into consideration. But I would say that there are opportunities for young people to pathway into, I guess, what you called unlikely paths within the creative economy.
Yeah.
But I think even with that, it's about being entrepreneurially minded.
Zinhle Khazia, thank you so much. Zinhle is manager of colleague engagements at Absa Bank. Thank you for coming through, and thank you for talking to us. It's 2:31. It's time for the news headlines.
Thank you, KG. On the news headlines, the Minister for Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, has confirmed that the first consignment of vaccines to combat foot and mouth disease has arrived in the country. Former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shivambu has clarified reasons for his removal from the position. He says it was informed by a fake intelligence report which said he was intending to overthrow former President Jacob Zuma as party leader. And police are investigating a case of kidnapping after a woman was rescued by Johannesburg Metro Police officers yesterday. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Side by Side.
Good afternoon and welcome to Side by Side right here on SAFM, brought to you by the National Department of Health, Ilifa Labantwana, and the SABC Education. Today we're exploring the roles of the primary caregiver and the extended family in a baby's life. On our drama episode yesterday, we heard from Umam Sindi, who spoke about the power of a strong support system, from the main caregiver to the loving arms of extended family. Because when it comes to raising a child, every helping hand matters. Joining us now to dive deeper into this important conversation is Dr. Lebohang Madisha Madalane, Director and Founder of Mapilo Wellness Solutions, who was the Deputy Director for Pediatrics and Adolescent HIV Care and Treatment Program at the National Department of Health. Dr. Madisha, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start with the basics. What role does primary caregiver play in a baby's life, and why is that role so important?
Okay, thanks for giving me time. The primary caregiver plays a very crucial role in the life of the child. And obviously we know that the child do have different needs that they do need for them to be able to grow well and to be functional adults as they live around. So we have different needs, social and emotional needs, wherein they also need love and care and support from their primary caregivers. And remember, a primary caregiver, it can be anyone who's actually spending most of their time with the child, not necessarily the biologicals of such child. So we have obviously the health needs of the child, which this will include taking the child to your mere clinic if, let's say, they are sick or they need your normal routine visit for immunizations and all that. Someone like a caregiver need to do that, because when they get to the clinics, someone need to take responsibility, sign consent forms for anything that needs to happen to that child. Again, for support their educational journey, someone need to be there, a caregiver need to be there to provide that guidance. The spiritual needs, a caregiver need to be there to take the child to orientate the child into their spiritual beliefs and all that practices. So this is where now the primary caregiver become very instrumental in the child's life, especially from the early ages. And let's not forget the environment. The environment where the child grows, it needs to be nurturing and very much highly supportive by the people who spend most of their time with this child. And as indicated before, it can be anyone, our grandparents, the uncles, brothers and sisters, and other siblings of the very same child. So the child should not be, I would say, favorites. We should just treat our kids equally, because they are all, precious, and also they do have unique and special needs. And such caregivers or primary caregivers need to be able to provide that to their children. So I try to cover different needs that can actually nurture the emotional needs of the child, and also make sure that they grow with being very much secure, being provided with love and care, and by strong parents who are very much dependable and consistent in terms of what they do with their children.
Dr. Madisha, we know babies need love and care, but why is it so important to build a strong relationship with your baby or young child from the start?
Okay, thanks, Miss P. That is important because a strong relationship leads to attachment, and obviously, a child who's actually, especially emotionally attached to their parents, they are able to tell it all, to open up in terms of whatever that they are going through. And even if they can't speak, for an example, they are still young toddlers, but because they are attached to a dependable caregiver, they are able to be themselves as they engage with them. And obviously, this strong attachment is actually good for the brain development of the child and also their cognitive functioning. So we've seen this in many research that has been conducted. There is a lot of reference around the relationship between the strong attachment or a strong relationship between a primary caregiver and also the brain development and the cognitive functioning of the child. So, and remember, children, as much as they are kids, but during the early days of their lives, we are actually preparing them to be good adults later in their life. So if, let's say, their attachment with their primary caregivers, it was not that strong, they struggle with the simple things like trust, either in personal relationships, business or professional space. So they just have trust related issues. They can't actually attach. They struggle a lot in that space. So we are now saying building a strong relationship, as you have indicated, Ms. P, is very much important to actually prepare our children to be very much, I would say, attached to people that will be more important in their adult lives and also dependable around them.
Wow, that's quite interesting. However, raising a baby takes a village. How can extended family members step in to support both the primary caregiver and the child's overall development?
Look, supporting the primary caregiver is also important. I've seen in my career, ladies after giving birth, they struggle with what we call postpartum depression, simply because they are also crying for support, because there is so much that is expected from them in terms of just taking care of the little one. So to take care of both the primary caregiver and the baby is very much important for the development of both, because sometimes we find that we have maybe adolescent someone who also had to give birth to someone else. They are still children, according, if you are to look at the real definition of who is a child. According to our Children's Act, a child is someone who's aged between 0 and 18 years. So we still have a lot of teenage pregnancies that we're struggling with. So imagine a 17 and 18-year-old girl who fell pregnant. Emotionally, they are still developing, as you know. They still need support. So as a family, we need to interact with both of them. So interacting with the primary caregiver and also the child, it is the responsibility of other extended family members that are there in the family, because it should be a unit that is raising that child. So it's very much important for their emotional support. It's very much important for their feeling of a belonging, because we all want to feel we belong to a strong families wherein we are being provided guidance. There is a lot of wisdom going around in terms of how we live on a day-to-day and how we cope with our day-to-day life. So yes, it takes a family, it takes the whole community, the whole village to raise a child. So it is actually coming from that narrative wherein we all need support, we depend on each other. Thank you very much.
Dr. Madisha, thank you so much for your time. It was really an insightful conversation. Before we close it off, if there's one key message you'd like all parents to remember, what would it be?
Spending quality time with your loved ones, your family, your children, listen to them, be part of their day-to-day activities, be curious about what is going on in their life. Let's say you see them, because they learn by experimenting, by playing. So as they play, just take maybe a few minutes of your time, just observe the child playing. Whether are they kind people, are they friendly with their simple toys? If they're just throwing things around, there is some anger, they are showing you emotions in terms of what is going on. So be curious in terms of what is happening in your child's life. From school, when they come back, have a conversation with them. How was your school? Be part of their day-to-day activities. Make time for them, because nothing beats the time. Because if you do not spend time with them as young kids, they will not actually be free when they have crisis as maybe adolescents or early adults or even serious adults or later adult stages of their life. So I always tell people that create time we create for things that are important, and children are very much important. And let's accept our children the way they are. Let's not compare ourselves. Let's not put ourselves as adults into our children. For an example, I'm a doctor. I want my child to be a doctor. Life doesn't work like that. So leave children, let them be what they want to be. Let them be or do what they love to do. And also treat them with love and be kind to kids and also respect their space. So sometimes they do not want to do any activity because they just feel they do not want to do it. There is a polite way of engaging with the children. And as adults, we shouldn't actually coerce them because we are parents. Maybe we pay things for them, and then we feel we have all the rights to encroach their space or to interfere or to crowd their space. Let me use that word, crowding their space. So we need to show some respect for them. And sometimes it's important to also ask for their permission if you want to get into their world, into their space. Ask them politely, do you want to talk about this? If they are ready, they will be able to tell you everything that they feel you need to know about them. But if you want to talk to them at adolescent stage, you are very late. Talk to them while they're still young. Have the culture of engaging, making time to catch up with them. When they hit adolescent stage, they will be free to come back to you and say, look, this is the situation. How can you be of help or support? Thanks so much.
And thank you for listening to Side by Side. Join us again, same time next week, when we'll be talking about your child's social and emotional development.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Every murder has a moment when it could have been stopped. Countdown to Murder takes you inside the chilling timeline from ordinary days to unthinkable crimes. Real stories, real people, and the final hours before everything fell apart. Countdown to Murder. Every second tells a story. Thursdays at 9 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
The Northwest Provincial Legislature Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment, Conservation and Tourism, chaired by Honorable Mpho Kunou, will be conducting public hearings on the Northwest Gambling Act Amendment Bill and the Northwest Consumer Affairs Bill on Friday, 20 June 2025 in Makobistad Community Hall, Ngakamudiri Molayama District, Khamogopa Community Hall, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda District, Rayville Community Hall, Dr. Ruth Somuti Mumpati District, and Manserre Community Hall in Pujanala District. All hearings start at 10.
This Youth Month, SAFM celebrates the spirit, power, and potential of young South Africans. Join us as we dive into conversations that matter, from innovation to education and skills for the changing world, empowering youth for meaningful economic participation. Because at SAFM, we're not just talking, we're leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to The Full Circle.
Can't stop this rain, you know how it goes down. Cold inside this flame, must admit the truth, the lies ain't about the game, need a king for the crown. Story never changed, you know how it goes down. Nobody ever called on me, by me, without my boo, nothing ain't cool. It ain't my fault, don't leave, don't leave. Sukundishia, overdose, I can't feel ya. You came here with your sweet talk. I thought we could be more. Silence feels uncomfortable. It was a bad move. He had me so screwed. Them lies just ain't true. You know I feel you. Nobody ever called on me. By me. Without my boo, nothing ain't cool. It ain't my fault. Don't leave. Don't leave. So kundishia. So kundishia.
It is 2:48. You are listening to SAFM. You have just listened to Shia by Manala. In today's world, creativity is currency. Turning your art into a career takes more than just talent. It takes strategy, resilience, and understanding your value. Today, we're joined by an incredible South African musician who turned their passion into a platform. From navigating the South African music scene to breaking boundaries, she brings real-world experience on what it takes to thrive, not just as a performer, but a brand. We would like to welcome one of the greatest soulful musicians to come out of South Africa, Manala.
Thank you. Thank you. Salutations. Molweni, thank you so much for having me here.
So Manala, we'd like to first ask you what inspired you, because we know music and the arts is truly about inspiration and your true beliefs and your opinions. So what inspired you and what paths did you take to become a soulful musician in this country?
So I would say my biggest inspiration is my father, who was one of the first radio DJs in the Eastern Cape.
Who's your father?
Zolisa Senzo Mnyango.
wow.
Yes, that's
Wow.
my father. Music was always in the house, from mbaqanga to gospel to R&B. Michael Jackson was very, I guess, every day,
staple.
like a staple, like
Mm.
almost like church music for us that we would listen to every day, which was an amazing experience. I feel like he was a big...
You were raised in the Michael Jackson church.
Yes, we were. Amen. That experience was amazing and turned me into the artist that I am today. Learning about different sounds and different sonics from a different world, from different places in the world, made me who I am today.
That's very admirable. So we wanted to focus this conversation with you around like how the youth can use their passion and turn
Mhm.
that into a platform, turn that into a career. So how would you advise that young people with passion and with talent turn their skill into a career through arts?
I would say one of the first things is planning. You need a plan. You need to be serious with your plan. You need understanding and support, especially from your parents or your guardians. I feel like if I didn't have the support from my mother, who's a single parent as well, because we lost my father at a young age.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If I didn't have her as a support system, I don't feel I would be where I am currently. I also was blessed with the opportunity to study in California and study music and performance and music business, which was how seriously I took music from a very young age. And I feel like she saw that with the path and the journey that I was taking in my life.
Yeah. What sort of challenges do you face as a South African musician today? I mean, what kinds of things do you navigate? Because people, see the fancy side of the
Mhm.
music business, whether it is on the socials or in a music video or whatever. They don't know when you don't get bookings. They don't know when the
Exactly.
phone doesn't ring. So what kinds of challenges do you go through as a South African artist today, and how do you navigate them?
I would say the biggest challenges, like you said, is opportunities. There's a lack of opportunities for a lot of musicians, a lot of people in the space of art. I feel like education is also missing a lot in South Africa, because in other places of the world, there's so much talent and so much knowledge that we are missing and that we need in this country. And we are so capable. There are so many humans in this world that are capable and have the knowledge that we need as musicians and artists. So I feel like there's a big void in that space, just opportunities, spaces, environments for us to succeed in our full potential.
So linking to seriousness and just global impact, do you think the SA soul or maybe R&B scene is getting enough global attention, or is the world still sleeping on us?
I feel like we still slept on.
But
yes. It was a for me.
We agree.
I feel like we are highly slept on, but I feel like our time is coming. I feel like there's a huge shift in music. And I must say I'm grateful to Amapiano because it has opened a space and an eye to our music and our youth as well, because there's so much youth in Amapiano. So kudos to that, and I can't wait till they see the same light in us.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, based on that, what is your opinion on the rising number of Amapiano artists and DJs? Like, do you think it's a positive thing? Because I do understand they bring a lot of attention to us as South Africa and the music industry, but do you think that it may overshadow other genres?
I don't think it would overshadow other genres, because at the end of the day, good music is good music. And I feel like the bubblegum has been in every genre, almost every genre. I don't know about jazz and blues and back in the day, but I think in these times there's so much bubblegum music, but I feel like good music will always stay.
Yeah. What do you think, particularly social media spaces like TikTok is doing or has done to advance new artists, particularly from Africa today?
I feel like TikTok has played such a big part in letting Africa being seen in what we're doing. And I feel like
in
that's
our uniqueness.
Yes, I feel like that's been missing for a very long time. I feel like with the access that we have, there's so much accessibility and so much connection that we can build on.
So speaking back to the youth in our country and people who might want to pave a pathway in the music industry, what's something you wish you knew about the music industry when you were first just starting out?
I wish that I knew that it's not easy, but I feel like that's in every space in corporate
Life
space.
is not easy.
Life is not easy. So I feel like when I was younger, I thought it was going to be this like walk in the park thing of I just need to sing and make songs and I'll be on top of the world, but it's not easy. And that's why it's so important for us to work hard and
it's
show.
a business.
Yes, that it is a business. Apart from your passion, it is a business at the end of the day.
Okay, and I just wanted, you emphasized earlier the importance of education and having knowledge in the music industry. As much as people may see it as an unconventional career path, it is still important to be educated in what you want to do. So I wanted to ask, you also mentioned how important it was to have the support of your family, but how do you think like the government or like private sectors or like schools could support aspiring artists to make their career kind of easier and just show that they do have support? Because I feel like everybody sees the arts kind of unconventionally and not as realistic.
I would say we could build on employing people that are in the spaces, because you best learn from people that have been through these life experiences. I mean, when I had the opportunity for studying music in the States, I was blessed enough to have people like James Ingram, who was in the industry, to show me the ropes and show me the ways of what he's been through in this industry. I feel like you gravitate more to people that you're in the same liking of or in the same industry. So I feel like if there's spaces and people that are in the spaces doing the actual work, I feel like it could really change.
So I want to take it back. What did you feel the first time you heard yourself on the radio in terms of your sound? When you first heard your song being played on the radio, what did that feel like?
It felt like a dream.
Yeah.
It felt like it felt like I achieved something.
Yeah.
And it was all I've ever wanted to do is share my music with the world.
Yeah.
And the world is listening, so
the world is listening.
I'm grateful for that.
And what's your message to all young people who also want to be Manalas? What would you say to them?
I would say that follow your passion and make your passion your purpose. Work hard, because when hard work. When talent doesn't work hard, hard work will persevere.
Fantastic. So you're available on all the streaming services?
Yes, I am. I am Umanala, MA2_NALA on all social media platforms. And you can book me at Manala Music with a Z.
Listen, thank you very much. Thank you for coming through. And also, let's say thank you to Josephine Lomo and Yamani Pagade. I wanted to take the last few minutes of the show to understand from you how you felt today, how it went. Firstly, we delivered on you. Did we deliver your material in the way you intended? Because the material is all yours. Each one of you can answer first. Any one of you can answer first.
So first of all, this is just an amazing experience. I'm so glad that I was able to come here and address the country.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine how many people I'm speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really glad that me and Yamani were able to focus on this message directed at the youth, because I do think it's very important for us to have these conversations. We hear a lot from adults, I guess, on youth issues, and I think it's very important to hear from the actual youth, the people that it affects the most.
And Yamani?
Yes, I agree with Josephine. I think it was also especially important to highlight the different types of careers the youth can go into, because I know not only from my family perspective, but a lot of families in South Africa, it's almost a norm to go into a conventional job in corporate or one that they've done before. And I think it's also about kind of breaking the circuits and finding new ways for the youth to explore what they can do and what they can be professionals in.
And I'll ask you what I also asked our guest, to the young people that are listening to us today as we round off our show, what would your message to them be?
My message would be that not everything is conventional, and it's important to believe in yourself, but also make sure that you find support in somebody or something. I feel like a lot of us, whether you're interested in arts or science or math, whatever it may be, there's something for everybody, and I think it's important to focus on what works for you.
I think my advice would be to have that support system. Like Manala said, you kind of need those mentors to help you pave your way in what you want to do. So obviously having support, whether it's from your family, peers, or other people that you meet along your way, to have that support system, because ultimately they're what will help push you to ultimate success.
Fantastic. That's the takeover from Josephine Lomo and Yamani Pagade. Thank you to our guest, Manala. Thank you to our producers, Ndosh Lokwana and Ntabiseng Chilwane. It was Mark who navigated technically a very difficult job today, but managed. Thank you to you, South Africa. We'll see you tomorrow. It's 3. It's time for the news.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195, and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
This week on Off-Pitch Goals. After league and cup triumphs for Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns, George Maluleka, Lethono Majoro, and George Lebesi embark on a journey to conquer the glamorous world of cosmetics. Join us as we find out how they maneuver through this highly competitive industry. Streaming on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 on Saturday, 21 June at 8:30 p.m. Off-Pitch Goals, where we showcase how the stars score in business. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Thank you, KG, and your team. Top stories at 3. First consignment of foot and mouth disease vaccine arrives in South Africa, and Chivambu speaks on his removal as MK Party Secretary. For SAFM News,